I'm Xavier and I'm an artist who works in the north of England. I specialise in drawing everyday life, what people do from their work, their pleasures, their relaxations. What interests me about Lowry as an artist is that he's more than just painting matchstick men and matchstick cats and dogs. He looks at life, he looks at humanity and the problems that we have in living today in his own time, and they're just as important then as they are now. The York City Art Gallery is really important to me, and I always used to come here when I was a child if I used to have a day off school and look at the paintings. I suppose because of the song Matchstick Men and Matchstick Cats and Dogs, but I think I quite misunderstood him as an artist then at that age.
I don't know why it's interesting, I just think it's interesting. It's alright, it's a bit like boring because people like matchstick.
Make the sky go a bit more blue instead of being white all the time, like. Cause like it looks like it'll be white in all his pictures how he does it and that. They're alright.
If somebody said you could have one, what would you say?
Thanks.
What he used to do, he used to catch random buses and trains, not knowing where he was going to go, get off at the end of the route and to start drawing. But always, it's not so much the place that interested him, it was people and different people.
Well, I think painting is a better habit like anything. You get used to painting and you paint and paint and paint. And whether you're in the mood for painting or not in the mood for painting makes no difference. If you're not in the mood when you start, you get used to it and you carry on just the same. Well, I think from my own experience that the less of the mood for painting, the better pictures you paint.
Basically, it's just about sort of drawing life and how you see life, no matter what the weather's like or anything like that. So we're out here in the rain and everything, getting covered in mud, but that doesn't matter because it's, it's an age-old tradition and it's still valid now and it'll still be valid in the future as well.
Lowry specialised in drawing people as he saw them. I think some of his best material is to be found in industrial settings. As a young student, Philip Crowther, who runs his engineering works in York, met Lowry when he visited his art school in Rochdale.
We didn't know how famous he was, and we waited, and eventually Lowry came in. In the meantime, I was sketching away a profile of the girl next to me. And he picked up a pencil and he went like that, and it was exactly like her. Mine wasn't quite right, his was absolutely right. So he was a very good artist, draftsman.
What happened to the drawing?
The college lecturer said, has Mr. Lowry done that? I said, yeah. He said, oh, I'll have that. So somewhere in Rochdale there's a drawing that I started that Lowry finished.
Tomorrow I'm off to the northeast, where Lowry escaped the city and painted some of his less well-known, most powerful work. He looked at this part of the world in a very, I think, quite a similar way to his Matchstick Men and Matchstick Cats and Dogs. What he's looking about in those paintings is really the loneliness of being in a crowd. In the same way as when he's out here, which is it's a really desolate landscape, he's looking at the loneliness of nature, the power of the elements, these sort of things.
I'm by nature a person who's spent a lot of time by himself, most of my life by myself. I was an only child. Working by myself, I can't work with others at all. And I think it keeps one's mind fresher, really, than to work with amongst a lot of people.
Many artists, myself included, need to be on their own to do their best work, and here I've been struck by feelings of loneliness and emptiness, and they're emotions that Lowry must have had for much of his life. And as a source of inspiration, the Northumbrian coastline attracts artists from all over the world. We're here in the bus shelter that Lowry painted. What drew you to actually painting the same scene?
Well, I think me as a Swedish and coming from the outside, I see what Lowry saw in this place. It's so beautiful and it's perfect to paint. All the architecture and the people. The light is wonderful, as you see today. And the architecture and the people is brilliant to paint. And I love his painting because it is quite rare for someone to paint people in situations, and loads of people like he did.
Lowry came on family holidays to Berwick at the turn of the last century. Later in his life, in the 1950s, he returned to Berwick for long periods to rest and paint. It was during this time that he struck up an acquaintance with a young hotel receptionist.
He would watch for when I was quiet and not busy and the phone wasn't ringing, and then come and talk to me, because basically he was a lonely old man.
So do you think he had a bit of a soft spot for you then?
Oh, I think he had a soft spot for me. I mean, I know I used to think, oh my goodness me, here's this old man coming to talk to me. Yeah. And then some days, if he wanted to please me, he would say, I'll draw you a picture, which he did quite often. And some of them would be of looking out up the river, which he walked up the river walk a lot. And some days he drew my portrait. It was very good, really, but they were just all pencil sketching. And I'm afraid to say, I used to just go into the bin.
Oh no, you're kicking yourself now.
I'm kicking myself now. I think of all the thousands I might have put in the bin. There we are.
Tomorrow I'm off to Salford, where preparations are all but complete to honour the city's most famous son.
After months of preparation, the Northwest's latest arts and theatre complex, the Lowry, officially opens tomorrow. Over the last 2 nights, the artist Xavier has been on a personal journey to find out more about Salford's famous artists. His final report begins in the city's art gallery, which up until now has housed the best collection of Lowry's work.
So how long have you worked here at this gallery?
I've worked here quite a few years.
Have you?
Yeah. We never really thought that he was very important, you know, he was sort of...
Because you're so familiar
taken for
with
granted, really, yeah. That was Lowry.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw him actually when I was passing on the school bus. You know.
Did you?
Yeah.
What's it like to actually work in a gallery, to be spending all your working hours amongst all these paintings?
It can be quite depressing.
Can it?
Yeah. Some of his paintings have got some weird things on them.
So what do you think Lowry was like as a man?
I think it's a bit strange. He must have been to paint what he did.
What other artists do you like?
Felt like Rubens.
No, I don't like Rubens, actually. No. Big fat women, aren't they?
Yeah. And chunky cherubs.
In the place of the Lowrys, new community-based projects are moving into the Salford Art Gallery. Meanwhile, the final touches are being applied at the painting's new home. So it's a great space, though, isn't it? You can imagine the paintings being in there. Do you like Lowry yourself, then?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've seen a few of his pictures. Yeah, I think he's quite good himself.
As a resident artist at the Lowry, I've seen millions spent on the building which grew from a derelict site at Salford Quays. But despite the impressive nature of the building, it's the people inside, the painters, the architects, scaffolders and electricians who provide me with the best subject matter. So just, lots of the scaffolding builders, more of the heavy machinery.
Excellent.
The hardcore building. I mean, this is more like the finishing touches, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then all the stuff, things like having a fag break and relaxing, things like that.
You're supposed to put that in.
I hope that's not me.
Larry must be laughing to himself that they've built this centre in his honour. It's certainly a far cry from this house in Victoria Park where he grew up, but the building still has its creative residence. So what's it like to live in Larry's old house then?
What's it like? Well, I didn't know until I met you. So, you know, but no, it's good. It's good because his mother was quite musical, wasn't she?
She was musical and she didn't actually like painting.
Yeah.
And the only picture on the wall was Beethoven. Would you say that living here in Larry's house is you still continue that sort of creativity?
Well, you don't really think about it. I mean, it's nice that he lived here, but
just rains down on us. Do you know what I mean?